This console generation's been kind of interesting. It's been really interesting. The back and forth, the fanboys, the hate towards Xbox, the hate towards PlayStation. I think Nintendo's just kind of in their own little world. There's Nintendo haters too, but it's about the big boys, Xbox and PlayStation, just kind of button heads, right? And I just kind of find it funny, man, when you see all the like when PlayStation posts, the Xbox, fanboys come and attack when Xbox posts. It's back and forth. It's ridiculous. Like if you have your system of choice, like, yeah, just play it. Just relax. Like you don't have to defend it. You don't have to attack. But that's what some people do, man, to make the time pass, and more power to you. Whatever you're into, whatever tickles that taint for you, I don't care. But the latest controversy's been this Starfield thing with the 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second thing. And Phil Spencer here, he mentions like, hey, it was a creative choice. Like this isn't something to do with our platform. It's a creative decision. And I think for the vast majority of us who are not video game developers, like we don't really understand or know what's going on or why these decisions have been made. Like some people will be like, these developers are lazy, or it's the console's not powerful enough to run this game. But we don't really know. We don't really know. We could just take people like Phil Spencer's word for it, or go to, the outraged, YouTuber who's a fanboy of one console and obviously attacks the other every chance that they get. You see that quite often. So I guess just decide how you want to look at it for yourself, right? If you want to align with the crazy fanboys, you want to believe what the company tells you, or just like, hey, I'll play the game for myself. And it's just kind of a weird thing. Like we have to have some kind of number to grade things on. 30 frames per second, 60 frames, 120 frames per second. And it is performance stuff. So it does make sense to like, hey, some people want to look at that, because if a game just runs like jank and it can't maintain a steady, frames per second, whatever it is, if it's bouncing around, dipping, it can reflect on the performance of the game there, and people will wind up not liking it. They'll be put off. I get it. It makes sense, right? There's some companies like Nintendo, they got games running under 30 frames per second, dipping up and down and stuff like that, like flopping around, and you don't hear too much. They make some good games, but you're not hearing too much outrage out there. But I've been seeing these conversations a lot, especially lately, but it's been an ongoing thing. And these damn companies, it's not just Xbox, it's PlayStation, all of them. It's their own damn fault, because, I think they're going to wind up changing their packaging. It's not just Xbox. I love the Xbox. Love the Xbox. Love the PlayStation as well. But it's both of their damn faults. Like they're going to change the packaging here. Like look at the Xbox, all their consoles. The Series X, 4K 120 FPS. Kind of small, but it's there. You could see it. Like if you have the box in front of you, you'll see it. Even the Series S, like 120 frames per second, bitch. Come get some, right? So they're throwing it on there. They're not saying like, hey, don't expect this with everything, or like this is the max that you can get. Don't expect it with every game, right? They just put it on there. People see that and they're like, what the hell? What's going on with this $500 freaking hardware not being able to play these games at 60 frames per second? Man. Then the PlayStation, they have the audacity to put 8K on there. I haven't seen 8K. Does that even exist? The hell? But they do the same thing. 4K, 120 hertz. So both these companies, they're doing that. People see that and they expect it. They expect it. So I would imagine they may change this box art for their packaging. They're going to have to, right? But, these consoles, they've been out for a couple years, and they're not the same cutting edge technology as they were at that point. They're still amazing hardware, all like, the custom work that was done behind them, amazing stuff they have going on. But it's like, I have a PC that's reasonably powerful with the, 40 series graphics card and shit. Like, I'm not like, man, if I really wanted to get like max everything, I'd have to spend thousands of dollars on upgrades. Like not getting a different graphics card. It's kind of crazy the demands of the games that we have nowadays. And if a company, like I'm not defending Starfield or anything. I mean, I don't know, don't really care. I'm curious to see how the game plays and if it's actually fun. And if it's a steady 30 frames per second and it's an enjoyable experience, like whatever, cool, man. But Yeah, I'm having difficulties on my PC getting certain games running at a higher frames per second, and it's just crazy, man. But none of these systems are every single game that's coming out is like max resolution and frames. Kind of, it is what it is. I made a joke yesterday uh, where I was just like, it's not really a joke. It's kind of true for me. But if a game's fun, this is what I posted. If a game's fun and it runs fun, I don't give a fuck if it's running at 30 frames or 60 frames per second. These are numbers I don't even pay attention to. In all honesty, I don't. I don't pay attention to. I don't go searching out like before I buy a game. Does this game run at 60 frames per second? Does this game run at 30 frames per second? Whatever. I might wind up hearing about, oh, this game runs really bad. Like it's dipping and it's stuttering, a wrong stuttering Stanley type thing. I might hear that and be like put off, because there's a performance issue. But I don't search those numbers out. Is kind of what my point is. I just don't pay attention to them. And I said, but it's always a big thing. It's not always, but it's been lately a big thing with people. And I joked, the only numbers I remembered caring about was what bits a system was going to be: 8 bits, 16 bits, 32 bits, freaking 64 bits. We don't talk about bits anymore. The hell was a bit anyway? But like we always have to have some kind of number. We have to have a number. There has to be something. Teraflops, bits, freaking, frames per second, man. Frames per second. Like this person, there's smooth 30 and there's jank 30. I don't know like the difference between the two. If it's like, I understand like, hey, if it's jank, it's jank. But I would imagine if it's like locked 30 frames per second and everything's smooth, it wouldn't be jank. So if it was 30 frames per second, but it was dipping around, then that would be jank. And there'd be a difference in that. But, I don't know what the differentiation is there. Like this guy, a fun game running at 15 FPS is better than a crap game running at 120. I don't know. I've played some games at 15 FPS. I was like, holy crap, I need to crank some things down. My PC's not strong enough. It's just like it's choppy and whatnot. It just depends, it just depends. But this for 30 FPS means the game doesn't run fine. I don't even know what that means. I've played plenty of games that I'm sure are 30 frames per second and they ran fine. Like what this is the problem is like we have to have that number. So if it doesn't meet that number, that expectation you have in your head, then it's not fine. Even if the game is great and it doesn't have performance issues in that like the FPS is flopping around like boing boing boing, right? If it's like locked 30 but it's an amazing game and nobody like if somebody didn't know what the hell frames per second was and they played the game and it didn't like they didn't have anything to say or notice, like that's fine. That's fine. But we have to have that number, man. Have to have that number. I don't know, man. That's my rant and ramble for the day. I don't even know what the hell I just talked about. Frames per second. It's Xbox and PlayStation's fault. 8K, 4K, 120. Gotta put that little asterisk down there. Not every game. Sorry. Maybe people will get off their nuts. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Not too serious, man. It ain't that serious. Just don't buy the game if you don't want it. If it should be 60 and it's 30 and you're like, nope, then don't spend your money, man. All right, bye.